those who died in the service of our country, and we honor our Gold Star family members. However, I would be remiss if I didn't say something else. I asked the Gold Star mother if she thought this was appropriate, and she said, "Jim, you've got to say it. Our VA, let me say this, something should and must be done to help our veterans. Clear up the mess. Make sure our veterans are treated with respect. We remember those who died for our country, and I will carry that with me the rest of my life. But the veterans that have served this country and need help and care, they deserve nothing but the best." 10 years ago, I opposed the closure of Lakeside VA. I said it was morally wrong to close the VA. I still stand by that. In the city council, before we move on, I'd like to say this. We've had committee hearings on PTSD. We've had committee hearings on Agent Orange. We've had committee hearings on suicides. We had committee hearings regarding the Marines that were still buried on Tarawa. And to my fellow colleagues, I'd like to acknowledge that. Now, I'm finished. Like we move on. As mayor, as the 55th mayor of the great city of Chicago, Rahm Emanuel is a native of Chicago with 3 terms representing his North Side district in Congress. As mayor, he has been a strong supporter of the military and our veterans, and understanding the great sacrifices made by those who serve in our military and their families. It is my distinct pleasure now to introduce a great supporter of the veterans, the military, and the ROTC, the mayor of the city of Chicago, Mayor Rahm Emanuel.
Thank you, Alderman Balser. As you all know, the Alderman's a member of the, if you don't know, I'd be surprised, but he's a great Marine, and I always feel like whether we do our Veterans Day or Memorial Day services, it's a Marine event in which the other branches of the armed services are invited, according to Jim. We just had breakfast with all the Gold Star families who are here before you. And as I said to them just a minute ago, Memorial Day is when we as a city and we as a country kick off our summer. Families across the city of Chicago and the state of Illinois will go to barbecues in our parks. We'll go to the beaches with their families. We'll watch this parade. We'll enjoy time with friends and family in their backyards. Underneath every one of those activities is the uniqueness of our ability to enjoy our freedoms. And those freedoms were paid for by our veterans and those who served their country. And on behalf of all of us who will enjoy not just this Memorial Day weekend, but living in a great country, a free country, on behalf of the people of the city of Chicago, to each and every one of the Gold Star families, thank you for your sacrifice. We have a big debate in this country about what the 1% is. It's usually around a definition of wealth. I actually believe the true 1% in this country are those who volunteered to serve their country and wear the uniform of their country. That is what defines a true 1%, who committed themselves, sacrificing for all of the rest of us, for the other 99%. And in our Gold Star families' homes, on their fireplace mantle, in a bedroom, on a nightstand next to the bed, is a picture of a family member. Those who have sacrificed, those who have lost. The measure of our city isn't about today, although it's a beautiful day, and isn't about the fact that we have the largest parade, which we do. The measure of the character of this city is about where we stand with you tomorrow and every day afterwards. And that is how we take stock. And I want you to know, we love you, and you will never be far from our thoughts and never far from our responsibilities to you to repay all that you have sacrificed. Because not one individual puts on that uniform. An entire family is also being asked to being called upon by this country. And I want to say that in the end, we know that the service that has been rendered by our veterans and our families and to our country cannot be repaid. It can only be respected. It can be respected by the city, the state, and the country. And I want to say how much we are deeply appreciative and how much we owe you. So on behalf of everyone here, and those who will be along the parade and those who will be watching, thank you. I do now want to have the distinct honor of introducing Tammy Duckworth, a good friend. I remember when I went to first see Tammy, Walter Reed Hospital, which speaks volumes of what Alderman Balser just talked about in the sense of cleaning up the VA and serving those and giving them their due with proper health care, proper college assistance, and all the service they need. But there was Tammy just back from Iraq, barely a week. Senator Durbin and I went to see her and her husband. And while she was recuperating, we told her her time in serving her country was not over. It had just begun. She could do more. She was not limited. She had more to give her country in the service. Because as she was a member of the armed services, in the spirit of this great country, she could also continue to serve. She has done that in Veterans Administrations and now as a United States Congressman. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my distinct honor to introduce a good friend, a friend of all of ours, and most importantly, as she continues in the United States Congress, because as our country moves on, it's important to have somebody from the armed services in that Congress to remember and give voice to all those who serve so the country does not move on and understands it has a responsibility to continue to remember those who served. Ladies and gentlemen, Tammy Duckworth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Alderman Balser, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It's a real honor to be here today. It's always an honor to be in the presence of our Gold Star families. You know, the Founding Fathers established our nation on the hope that people, ordinary citizens like you and I, would guide and shape our nation to prosperity and posterity. Our Founding Fathers knew there would be work and sacrifice in the American experiment if the American experiment were to succeed. We Americans are an optimistic people who spend very little time on the sadness of the past. We look for ways to be inspired. We look for ways to be happy. We look for things that will give us hope. While Memorial Day is a day to remember our honored fallen, we should not forget those who have also answered the call, served the country, and returned home. We should especially remember the young men and women who today are serving overseas in Kuwait, Afghanistan, the Sinai, and in more than 130 foreign lands. More than 400 soldiers and airmen from the Illinois National Guard are not home with their families today because they are serving overseas. More than 11,500 soldiers in the Illinois Army National Guard have deployed multiple times since 9/11. And more than 10,500 airmen of the Illinois National Guard have also deployed in support of various missions. All have made the sacrifice for us, and we must remember them. Today is a day to celebrate, and I hope that everyone goes out and enjoys the beaches and the barbecues and the beautiful sunshine that we have today. America can celebrate this holiday, but we can also celebrate the men and women who have made this day possible for all of us. Every single man and woman serving in our military today volunteered to serve. When America called and said, "Who among you will step forward? Who among you will leave your family and that your place at the kitchen table and the warmth of your hearth and home and travel to foreign lands to defend the American way of life? Who among you is willing to lay down your life to defend our way, not just for your family or your neighbor that you know, but for strangers across this land whom you will never meet?" It was our men and women in uniform who said, I will face foreign lands, foreign service, I will leave my family behind so that others may enjoy the comforts of home. The men and women who've served since 9/11 grew up in the shadow of that fateful day, a defining moment for most of them. Many have returned home to streets decorated with yellow ribbons and American flags, and their lives are decorated with kisses and hugs. For others, they return home in a casket draped with the most honored decoration of all, the American flag. They gave their service, they gave their optimism, they gave their lives. They gave everything to support and defend this nation built on life, liberty, and hope. What do we owe them? We owe them our optimism, we owe our lives. We need to keep having barbecues and parades and concerts, and we need to keep going to the beach. We need to decorate this great land for Memorial Day, because every service member who's ever served has a story. Every private, every general who has died has a story. Every family member who received a flag on behalf of a grateful nation has a story. Whether it's a quiet young man who learned to play the guitar in just a week or two, or the two Marines I heard about today who were troublemakers and ringleaders, or the mom who left behind a young daughter that she would never see grow up. Their stories are profound tales of loyalty, honor, and selfless service. They give us strength and optimism. I want to tell you about Bill Cheney from my unit, who didn't make it home either. Vietnam veteran, 59 years old, didn't have to go. But he said, I'm not letting you young punks go off without me because you're just gonna mess things up. That's typical Bill. Sergeant First Class Bill Cheney, chain smoking, tough talking. He helped raise me as a young officer, made me the officer that I became later on. Many, many times I made what I thought were fantastic decisions as a young lieutenant or captain. And with Sergeant First Class Bill Cheney, who took me to the side and pointed to the error of my ways, and then in front of everyone would salute me with my newly improved command decision, and we would move forward. Bill didn't make it home, but he did in a way, just as your sons and daughters made it home in a way, because I carried them with me. And every one of us who's ever served, every one of us who wears a uniform, who's here today, who gets to wake up every morning, we carry your loved ones with us every day. There's not a day when I don't get up, say a prayer of thanks for my life and for theirs. Nothing that I do is without them. When you're a soldier, but we're all warm and gooey on the inside. But celebrate with a purpose. Celebrate, decorate. Decorate for those who gave their lives for our nation. Decorate for their families. Decorate for the difference they made in each and every one of our lives. Thank you for being here. Thank you for enjoying this wonderful day. We can never say thanks enough to our Gold Star families, nor do you want us to say thank you. We just want us to remember and live in honor of the sacrifice of your loved ones and your family members. And I want you to know that we do that every single day. God bless each and every one of them. God bless our troops who are in harm's way today. God bless all of our military men and women who lie in hospital beds, whether it is a DOD or VA facility in the US or across in places like Landstuhl, Germany. And always, always, God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Thank you, Colonel Duckworth. When we talk about sacrificing country, Colonel Duckworth epitomizes that. And I thank her for being here, being our Grand Marshal, and her service to country. Major General John.
Maybe tell me what you're most excited for the parade and what you're most looking forward to this afternoon.
I am looking forward to seeing all of those junior ROTC cadets. We have the largest population of junior ROTC cadets of the entire nation right here in the Chicagoland area. And there are thousands and thousands of them, quite literally. So it'll be great to see all those great young men and women who, many of them will go on to serve in our military, and to see them holding on to the tradition of service to our nation.
It was very difficult for you, I can tell, when you were on stage talking about those you knew who you've lost. If you could explain for us.
Sure. So again, today is a day when we enjoy the day and we commemorate our fallen. We did have Sergeant First Class Bill Cheney from my unit who did not have to go. He was 59 years old, and he didn't make it home. And we miss him, and I miss him every day. And I think about all the beautiful young men and women. I spent the morning having breakfast with the Gold Star families, hearing the stories, and I heard about young men who were mischievous young men growing up, and I heard about a mom who left behind a daughter that she'll never see grow up, and it's just very emotional for me because I made it home, and I would never have made it home were it not for the folks who laid down their lives, and I feel like I owe every day that I have to them.
There have been a lot of questions in recent weeks relative to the care that's being afforded to our veterans. Your thoughts on that?
Well, I can't make any political statements today. I am on military duty. All I can say is that our veterans deserve the very best. I think all Americans believe that and hold that close in their hearts. Bottom line, our veterans did not wait when the nation called and asked them to serve. So why should they wait when they need help? And I think that we as a nation can do better by our veterans.
Any words of support for Secretary Schuster?
Again, I can't make political statements today. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Thank you all very much. We really have to get to the front of the parade.
Yep. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Tammy.
Enjoy the day.
Thank you for your time, Congressman.
Thank you. This way? Yep.